the battlefield on the moon of Varith. 9 was soaked in blood and silence. Ash drifted through the violet air like snow, lit by the pale twin suns above. The war between the Consortium and the Terran Alliance had raged for so long that even the stars had grown tired of watching. Among the ruins of a burned-out fortress, 5 human soldiers advanced cautiously, rifles raised, visors glowing in the dusk. Their boots sank into the soft, scorched earth as they stepped over wreckage, bodies, and old promises. Private Lang muttered through his calm, "Command says 1 hostile left. Just 1. Probably bleeding out." "Then we finish this," replied Lieutenant Arden Hale, his tone grim and cold. He had been fighting this war for 12 years. The word peace was a myth to him, something whispered, never real. And yet, something about tonight felt different. The silence carried a heartbeat that wasn't his. Then came the sound, metal against stone. She stepped from the shadows. Tall, silver-skinned. Her armor shimmered like liquid mercury, marked with alien runes that pulsed faintly blue. In her hands was a blade, not forged, but grown, humming with a living light. Her eyes glowed violet, pupils slit like a predator's. Arden had seen many of her kind, Corellians, bred for speed, precision, and brutality. But this one moved like poetry written in violence. Without a word, she moved. Her blade cut through the air faster than the human eye could follow. Lang fell first, his rifle split in half. 2 more went down before they could even fire. The 4th tried to run. His armor flared and burst as the blade found his spine. The last soldier screamed as she twisted his weapon from his hands and thrust her blade clean through his chest. 5 soldiers. Gone. In seconds. Without mercy. Arden stood alone, his pulse pounding. She turned her head toward him. That face, sharp, beautiful, almost human, was expressionless, but her eyes glowed with the pale fire of instinct. He raised his weapon slowly, breath unsteady. Then, through the chaos and the smoke, he whispered, "Lyra?" Middle, the name that should not be spoken. Her blade froze midair. That name cut deeper than any wound she'd ever received. Lyra. No one had called her that in years. Not since she'd left the human outpost on Teta's station, where a younger, less scarred version of her had once smiled under alien skies. Arden lowered his rifle slightly, his voice trembling. "It is you, isn't it?" Her expression flickered, confusion, anger, something else. "You should not know that name," she said in accented English, voice low and dangerous. He stepped forward. "You disappeared 5 years ago. They said the Corellians took you, that you were changed." She said nothing. Her blade's glow dimmed, like a heartbeat slowing. He continued, voice cracking. "You were a linguist, a scientist. You taught me your people's language on Teta's. You told me your name meant light between storms. And then the raids began, and you... Stop." The single word came like thunder. Lyra's chestplate rose and fell as she tried to steady her breath. That person died long ago. But Arden shook his head. "No. You're still her. You're still the one who laughed when I couldn't pronounce your vowels. You're the one who said humans smell like rain." His eyes softened. "You're Lyra." For a long moment, there was only the sound of the wind. Then she spoke, voice trembling. "The one you knew was weak. I was reborn in fire. The Corellians took me from your world, tore out my heart, rebuilt it in theirs. I am no longer yours." Arden's heart sank. He had dreamed of this reunion, but not like this. Not surrounded by corpses, her blade still slick with blood. "You don't have to do this," he whispered. "You can come back." Her jaw clenched. "You think it's that simple?" I am bound. My blood carries their oath. I fight until death. That is the price of survival. Then let me pay it with you, he said, stepping closer, weapon lowered. You saved me once. On Tetiz, when the outpost was hit. Let me save you now. Lyra's gaze flicked to his rifle, then to his trembling hands. If you take another step, I will kill you. Arden didn't stop. When he was only a few feet away, she moved faster than sound. Her blade sliced through his armor and grazed his shoulder. He staggered but didn't raise his weapon. Blood trickled down his arm, bright against the dust. You should have fired, she hissed. And missed the chance to see you again? He said, smiling faintly through the pain. Something inside her cracked. Lyra's blade trembled. He looked into her eyes and saw her memories flicker there. The human colony. The nights under the twin moons. Her laughter as she tried Terran wine. The moment they had almost kissed before the alarm sounded. You remember, he said softly. She turned away, her voice a whisper. I remember everything. Middle, the enemy within. An explosion rumbled in the distance, the sound of gunfire echoing through the ruins. The consortium reinforcements were closing in. Lyra pressed a hand to her temple, the neural implant beneath her skin pulsing. They are coming. They will see me with you. They will know I hesitated. Then we run, Arden said quickly. There's a shuttle east of here. We can make it. She looked at him, disbelief etched in every line of her face. You would run with me? After what you've seen? He gave a broken laugh. Lyra, I've spent half my life fighting monsters I didn't understand. You're not one of them. For the first time, her eyes softened, just slightly. Then a voice crackled over her comms, harsh and metallic. Unit 07 report. Enemy neutralized. Lyra hesitated. She glanced at Arden. He shook his head slowly. She pressed her comm. Affirmative. Sector secured. Good, the voice replied. Proceed to rendezvous point. The channel went dead. Arden stared at her. You just lied to your commander. I know, she said quietly. And now there's no going back. They began to move, through shattered corridors, beneath collapsing walls, over the wreckage of two civilizations. The stars were fading into night. Each step felt heavier, each breath colder. At last, they reached the ridge overlooking the valley. Below, a small shuttle sat half-buried in dust, one engine flickering weakly. Arden exhaled. We can make it, but Lyra didn't move. She stood still, head tilted to the sky, as if listening to a voice he couldn't hear. What is it? He asked. They've found us, she said. And they're coming. Climax, the final stand. The sky lit up with streaks of blue fire as Carillion dropships descended. Lyra turned to him, eyes fierce again. Go. Now. He shook his head. Not without you. She grabbed him by the collar, her strength nearly lifting him off the ground. If you stay, they will kill you. You don't understand. I am marked. They can track me anywhere. Then let me help you fight, Arden said. Her expression faltered. You would die for me? He smiled faintly. I would remind you who you are. The first wave of soldiers landed, black-armored Carillions, moving with machine precision. Plasma bolts rained down around them. Lyra turned, blade flaring to life. She moved like a storm, cutting through her own kind. Sparks and screams filled the air, but there were too many. A bolt grazed her side. She stumbled. Arden fired his rifle beside her, covering her flank. They fought together, perfectly, instinctively, as if 5 years of separation had been an illusion. But for every soldier they felled, 3 more appeared. A voice boomed from above, amplified through the comms. Unit 07, Stand down. You are compromised. Lyra looked up at the approaching warship. They've come for me. Then let's end it together, Arden said. She looked at him, truly looked, and saw not a soldier, not an enemy, but the man who had once taught her to smile. She reached out, pressed her hand to his chest. You shouldn't have said my name. Why? Because now I remember what it means to be alive. And then she turned. She sprinted into the open, toward the dropships, her armor glowing white-hot. Energy surged through her blade as she charged directly into the heart of the oncoming storm. The ground erupted in light. Arden shouted her name, but the sound was swallowed by the explosion, ending the light between storms. When the dust cleared, the battlefield was silent again. The Carillion dropships were gone, vaporized or retreating. The fortress lay in ruins. Arden stumbled through the debris, calling out hoarsely, Lyra! Lyra! He found the blade first, half buried in the ash, still humming faintly. Then, a few meters away, a figure lay still. Her armor was cracked, her silver skin marred by burns, but her face was peaceful, the faintest trace of a smile frozen there. He knelt beside her, brushing the dust from her cheek. Lyra, he whispered, voice breaking. You came back. Her eyes fluttered open one last time. You called me home. He took her hand, holding it tightly as her light faded. The stars above shimmered, the same way they had the night they first met. And for a moment, Arden swore he saw her standing among them, whole again, bathed in starlight. Later, when the rescue teams found him, he was still kneeling there, her blade beside him, her name etched into the dust. He looked up at the horizon, where dawn was breaking across the ruined moon. She cut down 5 soldiers without mercy, he murmured softly, until the humans spoke her name. Epilogue. Months later, in the archives of the Terran Alliance, a classified report appeared, and signed untraceable. Subject: Lyra, Unit 07. Status: deceased. Final record: light between storms, reawakened by the sound of her own name. Attached note, handwritten. If they ever ask who won the war, tell them it was neither side. Tell them it was the moment she remembered she was human.